Hey everyone, it's Brandy and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a spoiler-free review of Daughter of the Pirate King by Tricia Levenseller. This book follows 17-year-old Alosa, I think that's how you say her name, and as the title of the book states, she is the daughter of a pirate king. At the beginning of this book, Alosa sets out on a mission in order to retrieve a piece of an ancient map. And to achieve this, she allows herself to be captured by enemy pirates in order to be able to search their ship. From the very first line of the very first chapter of this book, I was hooked. It was just the way the writing was done and the way the character's voice, everything was just really interesting, and it made me want to keep reading. And this continued throughout the entire book, so from the first page until the last, I just wanted to read, and that was really refreshing because I feel like sometimes that I kind of almost have to force myself through. I don't want to say I had to force myself, but I feel like sometimes I have to push myself to read through a slow part of a book to get to the more interesting parts. And with this one, I didn't feel like I had any of those moments. I was just really intrigued, and I was just like, what's gonna happen next? And this book is only 300 pages, but I feel like even with some of the books that I've been reading lately, they've been taking longer. And once I finished this book, I realized that it only took me 2 days. And I think it took me 2 days because one of the days that I was reading at work, so that took up a lot of my time. So if I was reading completely on the weekend, I probably could have finished this book in 1 day because it was just that fast paced, and it was like I was just getting through it so fast. I'm pretty sure this is the first book that I've ever read that was about pirates, and if all the books that I read about pirates are going to be this interesting, I just want to read them all because this was so amazing. And I think it had a lot to do with the main character. I mean, she wasn't the only reason, but the main character had a big part in my enjoyment of this novel. I love the fact that she was just so aware of herself. I feel like a lot of the times when you're reading YA novels, especially when you have a female protagonist in YA novels, that they're really unsure of themselves and they feel like they need somebody else, mostly a romantic interest, to basically just tell them how great that they can be. And with this one, she didn't need that. She knew exactly what she was capable of. She was aware of herself. She was aware of her abilities, and she was aware of the effect that she had on men, I guess you could say. She was aware of the effect that she had on others, and I just love this. I just love the self-awareness that the main character Alosa had, and it was just so amazing. I'm probably just gonna be gushing about this because I just loved that so much. I feel like it made the story a lot more interesting because she didn't need anybody to tell her, like basically you're amazing. She didn't need anybody to tell her that she could do this or she could do that. She just did it. She was like, no, I don't need you to tell me this. I don't need you to tell me that. I'm gonna prove you wrong. And she did everything in her power to do exactly what she set out to do at the beginning. And even when she was in some tough situations, I felt like she still managed to not panic, or she didn't panic, and she thought it out and she figured out the best way to go about the situation. Now, I'm not saying she always made the best decisions, but I feel like she always followed through with the decisions she made, and I just love that about her so much. I also really love the banter between her and Raiden. From the first moment that he showed up and they just talked to each other, I knew that I would like him as a character as well because he was almost a male equivalent of her, almost. But he did have some flaws, which I do appreciate. However, I did think some of those flaws, I don't want to say made him weak, but he felt like a weak character. Or not a weak character. He just felt like a weak person because of some of the flaws he had. But I understood why it was really weird. I like the interaction that Alosa and Raiden had. I just like how things were starting to develop between the two of them. If it doesn't go anywhere, I don't, is really unsure of how exactly things are going to happen by the way this book ended. But if it doesn't go anywhere, I feel like the two will still have a really good friendship, and I really appreciate that about this. Another thing that I wanted to mention was Alosa's relationship with her father. It is really weird. She has this really strong devotion to her father, and she, even though she knows some of the things he did was wrong, she still feels like he did it for her sake, and she feels like that she's a better person because of the things that her father put her through. And I don't agree. We only see him for maybe like 5 pages, if that, in this first book, and I was just like, girl, why? I was like, why would you, like, I guess I get it, because is, even though he put her through some stuff, she felt like it was all done for the right reason. So I guess I get her reasoning for sticking with her father and doing what she wants for her father. For I get why she did what she did, but I was just like, why? I didn't like it. I'm gonna just leave it at that, because I don't want to give anything away. Her father just made me really mad. I was so mad with him. But this is just a speculation, because the second book isn't out and I haven't read anything about it yet. But I feel like in the second book of this, that she's gonna decide to, not follow after her father anymore. And I'm just curious as to how that's gonna go, because I feel like she does have some things that would be to her advantage, but at the same time, I don't know how all of that's going to work out, because it's just a lot of factors that I can't talk about because spoilers, obviously. I guess the last thing that I want us to talk about was that there were some things that I felt like could have been handled better. I feel like some things, I can't really say what the thing is or what the big a part of this is, but I feel like I might have spoiled myself by looking at the title of the sequel to this book. So if you haven't read this book and you are interested, don't look at the sequel to this book until after you finish this, because I felt like that might have been a big spoiler for me, and I don't know if it was obvious because I looked at the title. There were some hints throughout the book, and I was just like, yeah, that's kind of obvious, and I felt like I knew some stuff was coming. But I also think that might have been, like I said, because I looked at the title from the first little clue that was there. I kind of felt like I knew what was going on, and it wasn't just that. It was some other scenes that was in this that I was just like, I felt like that could have been handled better, or I wish things had been done differently. But it all worked out the way the author wanted it to, I guess. Some of the content that was in this was more mature than I would expect out of a typical YA novel, but I really enjoyed that, and I felt like it worked really well for the story. Overall, I really enjoyed this book. Like I said, it was highly intriguing, and from the beginning to the end, I just was really enthralled by this book, and I just wanted to keep reading. Ended up giving this one a 4 out of 5 stars. If you guys have read this book, let me know your non-spoiler thoughts down in the comments, and if you do have any spoiler thoughts, you can always message me or something like that, just not to spoil anybody who hasn't read it. But that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you guys again in the next one. Bye.